We'll start with a few opening statements, and then we will open up for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and a microphone will be passed to you. So.
Good morning and welcome. Some familiar faces out there and a lot of new ones, which is fun and exciting at this point. I obviously like to welcome the three young men on stage here, Noah, Dariq, and Jalen, and welcome them to the Nets family, along with the many family members and representatives we see in the crowd here. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you for trusting us with these young men. As I mentioned to a couple of you guys, I can only imagine the nerves and the jitters. It's over with, but this new journey just starts right now. So it's been a fun process for us to get to know them, over the draft process and watch them, throughout their careers so far, their college careers so far. Fine young men. Loved getting to meet them in the interviews, and I'm sure you guys will get to talk and get to meet them, get to know them over the process of their careers here as Nets. But I can't speak high enoughly about all three of them and obviously how they were raised. So again, credit to the families out there. Loved watching how each one of these guys played throughout their careers. They played with a chip on their shoulder. They're competitive, and you guys have heard me enough talk about what it takes to succeed here in Brooklyn, and that is you have to be competitive. In order to survive in this borough, do something special here in Brooklyn. That's going to be the number one key. Character, heart, commitment, all those things these guys have shown over their careers. We've watched them on the court, off the court, behind the scenes, the people we've met, people we've talked to, and got rave reviews from everybody. But how they've played, I can't wait, as I said last night to some of the media members, I can't wait to get these guys in front of our coaching staff, in front of our developmental coaches, and get their hands all over them. I think that's really important when, I can't teach 7'3" wingspan. So, I can't teach the heart. I can't teach the championship characteristics that these guys will have. So they're coming in here with some things that, exemplify what it means to be a Brooklyn Net. And then when we get our coaches on them, it's going to be a really fun journey to see what happens in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years and see where they are down the road. So again, welcome guys, and thank you. Welcome to our Nets family. So.
Yeah, from a coaching perspective, just you have an extended family now. So yeah, I'm a parent. Actually, my kids the same age as those two right there. So know how it is to give your child and have them trust and grow up in a different situation, different environment. So we pride ourselves on taking care of people, and we're going to do that. We talked about a few things at the end of the year, and these three encompass a bunch of things, but the toughness and the talent is undeniable. We talked about infusing some youth and reestablishing our culture. And these three men up here, man, they are, I'm a simple dude. They are high character individuals. And so we want to reestablish who we want to be as an organization by having three individuals like this sitting in front of you. So Sean talked about coaches being ready to get our hands on you. Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to establishing a relationship with the family and you three guys. So sometimes you don't know if your cup is half full or if it's half empty, but you got a cup, bro. So you got a cup, you got a chance, you got an opportunity. That's all you can ask. You got a cup.
Chris Carino, Brooklyn Nets. 2 questions. First, Jacques, is there any secret handshake or anything with Jalen from being Kansas? Is there a Rockhawk Jayhawk thing going on?
Somehow we were seated next to each other, but I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how that happened. But Dariq, coming back to your home area, how excited are you to be playing here?
I'm very excited, being away from home at a young age, going to high school in Florida. And then this the first time where my family going to be able to fully watch me play, with everybody, friends and family. So like I said, I'm excited and, just thankful for the opportunity.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News. Sean, you've mentioned the interviews maybe 2 or 3 times now in the last 12, 13 hours. Just is there a commonality in the interviews that you had with each one of these guys that stands out to you, or was the interview process unique for each one of them?
It's always a little unique, right? Because they're individuals, but how mature each one of these guys are. I mean, Jacques mentioned before that he's got a couple of boys at home that are similar ages, and so do I. And I'd be extremely proud, if these guys were my kids. So, you go through the interview process, and that's one little check the box as you go. What you see, what you hear, and so forth. And when you get to know them, and I don't expect them to know me really well yet, but you hope, give it a month, give it 2 months as we continue to form these bonds throughout the organization. They'll see that they can trust us, we can trust them, and off we go.
Evan Barnes, Newsday. Noah, this is for you. You talked about yesterday. You know Nick Claxton. Just first of all, what are your emotions being drafted? And second, have you reached out to Nick? Have you been able to talk to him yet about just being on the Nets and both of you guys being from South Carolina?
So as far as the draft go, it was surreal. And I know a lot of people probably say that same word, but it's like, I seen all the cameras come, so I knew it was me, and then they actually called my name, and then like it's just an unreal feeling. It was great. And then as far as reaching out, I ain't even really looked at my phone since the draft happened. So yeah.
Brian Lewis, New York Post. Jacques, this is primarily for you. When you're looking, especially at the extreme youth, you talked about having 2 guys here that are basically your kids' age. I know you guys draft best available, but did having this team's timeline forcibly changed throughout the year because of the trades? Did that give you guys a little bit more freedom to draft basically high upside 18-year-olds as opposed to older prospects who might have been closer to being ready-made?
I think Sean and I talked about getting people in the building who want to be here, who fit being here in our building, who fit our culture. I think it was designed that way with these 3 men. So whether they were 18 or had some COVID years left on them, I don't think it mattered. We had some people that we targeted, and fortunate enough that people were there for us to draft.
Dariq, what have you been able to learn from your brother's NFL journey, and what kind of advice has he provided you while you're navigating this journey in the NBA?
Aside from the sports part, it's really just how to take care of my body. When I was a kid, I thought all that came to basketball was, just playing the game and, strength and conditioning and stuff like that. And he really taught me how to take care of my body, and that's something I'm still getting better at. So that's the most thing I could just, praise for him, is just teaching me, the ropes at a young age of just taking care of my body and the things I need in order for my body to, keep going as far as, my career go.
Dariq, this is for you. I guess just obviously last season at Duke probably didn't go the way you wanted, just coming off surgery. First of all, how are you feeling right now? And just second, how excited are you to kind of prove, the player you were coming out of high school now as you have a chance to kind of, recover from this foot surgery?
I'm feeling great right now. Like I said, just got to get back to 100%. And I feel like, once I do that, I'll definitely get back to, who I was before the injury. I just want to come in here and contribute to winning basketball. I just want to make my teammates better, and that's what I'm here to do. That's it.
No, how's it going? Christian Winfield, New York Daily News. Who are kind of the players that maybe you molded your game after, specifically the ability to space the floor and shoot the 3, and even more specifically, the volume that you shoot the 3 ball at?
I wouldn't say I'm molded after really anybody. I just kind of play, to be honest. I knew my capabilities, and I know I can listen. So when they were trying to change my jump shot in high school, I knew I could change my form and I could become a good shooter. As far as volume, Oates told me let it fly. So we let it fly.
Dariq, before the year, you were a projected, in some places, top 5 pick. You didn't get a green room invite. What was that like last night waiting? And how much are you motivated from kind of maybe falling further than you had expected back from the fall?
I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason, and God, has everything set in the right path. So, like I said, it's definitely gonna fuel the extra motivation. But like I said, I'm just here to think about what's here now, and here to focus on the future. So, I got to put that behind me, and like I said, I got to help try to contribute to this team, and winning basketball as much as possible. So, pretty much try to put that behind me.
Otis Livingston, CBS2. This question is for Jalen. What was the draft process like for you after such a accomplished college career, national championship, Big 12 Player of the Year, All-American, and all that, and waiting for your name to be called in the second round?
I just looked at it as a blessing, another opportunity to be able to play the game that I love and be at a beautiful place like this. Not a lot of guys in the world get to hear the name get called, so that's, like Coach said, a great opportunity, and I'm just looking forward to getting on the court.
Hi, Chris Carino again. Sean, this question's for you. You had a lot of pieces to work with on draft night this time. Curious the evolution of, early on in your Nets career, didn't have a lot of those picks to kind of be with and play with on a draft night. What was draft night like for you last night in terms of fielding calls, thinking about what you wanted to do with all those pieces that you had?
Yeah, it's draft night is always exciting because you never know quite how it's going to play out. But I think it's the months that go into leading up to that day. That's what makes it fun. So, I give the group a heck of a lot of credit, and there's a lot of people behind the scenes. It's certainly not one or two people making these decisions. So our scouting departments, have done a heck of a job over the course of these last 6 years. I think the proof's in the pudding there. Our development coaches, they play a big role in this. Our entire coaching staff, the performance team, everybody has a vote. Everybody has something to say. So when you collaborate the way we do and come together, there's a level of conviction you have when you make these decisions, right? And so again, you never know quite how the draft night is going to play out. But when it comes down to making those calls and seeing, whose name we're going to call into the league, you have that conviction about it because the process has been done right. So again, a lot of people behind the scenes have done a heck of a job.
Lucas Kaplan, Nets Daily. This one's for Jalen. You go from playing limited minutes your freshman year at Kansas to being an important player, averaging 11 points a game on a championship team, to last year taking 16 shots a game, kind of being the main option. With all of that development baked into your college career, I just want to know your opinion or standing on kind of the narrative that we've been talking about today, that your upside as a prospect diminishes the older you are coming out of school.
I think my time at school gave me a lot of different experiences, taught me a lot of different things. I was able to do a lot of different roles, and I feel like I can just use that to my advantage, being able to come in and play a specific role. I was able to do that on a championship team and able to do that last year as well as a different role with, being the older guy on the team. But I just look at it as the opportunity to come in and be able to do whatever I'm asked to do. Like I've been asked to do a lot of different things in my career at Kansas, so I'll be well prepared to do that here.
Dariq, how's it going? Christian Winfield, New York Daily News. Welcome to Brooklyn. All of you. I'm curious with the foot injury. Just did you reach out to any NBA players? Or did any NBA players reach out to you, or who kind of guided you through the process? Because it seems like that's something that's really difficult to go through, especially when you have to go through it twice and probably have to be really patient with it.
The main player I could say I talked to about the injury was Jason Tatum, and that's because at Duke he kind of had a similar injury, but it was his fourth metatarsal. And his main thing was just being patient. His main thing was to be patient. It's going, when the right time is to come back. Your body, and that was his main message, and that's kind of what I tried to imply. Just making sure I know my body and doing it right. The second time.
How difficult is it to remain patient when you just got drafted? I know you probably want to get out there.
It's very difficult. You get drafted, you want to get out there with your, new teammates. You want to show what you can do, create that bond. But like I said, injuries happen. And, sometimes it's something I got to take my time on and make sure I get it 100%.
Dariq, Brian Lewis from the New York Post. Just following up on that, I'm curious, this is twofold. A, how many people, do you still have people in the area or no?
You talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still have people in the greater New York area?
Yes, sir.
I mean, like uncles, aunties,
Yeah, I got my mom
cousins?
right here. I got my mom right here, my brother, and my uncle, and then I still got a couple family members who probably be heading out today, but I got some family members still in town.
Okay. And with I mean, obviously with the injury, are you at all familiar after following Karis LeVert? Are you at all familiar with his story? I know it's a different injury, but he had a foot injury. Dr. O'Malley worked on him, and he had a successful career here.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's actually who I talked to about Karis LeVert when I first went with Dr. O'Malley. He told me everything about his story and the path he took, and like I said, that's kind of the same thing I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just trust Dr. O'Malley. I'm assured that he's going to get me back to 100% and get out there doing what I need to do.
Hey, fellas, Mike Scott from Hoopside. Welcome to Brooklyn. JV, how are these guys? What do these guys got to do to carve out a role in your rotation as rookies? And being a guy that was a player, what advice do you have for them getting their feet wet in the NBA? What are some of the do's and don'ts as a rookie coming in the league?
Yeah, that's a great one, Michael. I think the biggest part is to dive into your career now. You're a professional. This is what you do for a living. And so being able to tailor what you do on and off the floor to impact your ability to get on the floor for us and play is decision making. So and it's going to be different. Dariq is going to be being patient, like he talked about, in order so they'll learn how to be better decision makers, how to be professional, and that's where we can help guide. So I think the biggest thing is, taxes out now, and it's going to say professional athlete on that thing. So that's what they got to do. They got to act like professional athletes.
Dariq, you're from obviously the area. You went to high school down in Florida at the end, but what was it like? What's it like for you to come back home in a way? And did you have a favorite team growing up? You ever been to any Nets games as a fan?
I'm about to say, yeah. When I was young, the Nets were the New Jersey Nets, so they was playing at the Prudential Center. So I used to, tend to go around to the Prudential Center a lot and, see some games. But like I said, the Nets being here is still pretty much home. It's just a 20-minute, 30-minute drive over the bridge. So like I said, I'm just excited for my family to be able to, attend a lot of games and just, like I said, have that support that I had, going in before high school.
This question is for both Dariq and Noah. Lucas Kaplan, Nets Daily. Both of you guys come from programs last year with high expectations, a lot of NBA and overseas prospects. What's maybe something about each of your games that maybe you didn't feel you showed on tape fully, or maybe that fans may be surprised by when they watch you play?
I think I got a lot more than my game than what people seen, but obviously I was playing with Brandon, and we didn't need me to be another star on that team. So I played my role to help us win, and that's really all there was to it. But I think it's a lot more to my game that wasn't seen, that can be seen later on.
And for me, like I said, I had an injury. Like I said, I think I can definitely get back to, that guy who I was. I feel like people definitely from last year, they tend to think that I'm not athletic. And that was due from me pretty much playing on one leg. But I feel like I can definitely show the athletic part and then really my playmaking. I feel like once I, get 100%, I can go back to showing how well I could really, be a great on-ball, playmaker pretty much.
Noah, this is for you. Kind of going back to what I asked about Nick last. There's been a few players coming from South Carolina lately. Ja, Zion. There's a big pipeline coming from there. Do you feel like there's a little bit of pride for you to kind of be the next guy in line to kind of carry on that tradition a little bit?
Yeah, I take pride in it. I can say that. Obviously, like I'm the first person to go to my high school. They just told me to get drafted, and so like coming from where we're from and to get drafted out of there is big to us. I mean, it ain't, you feel me? The scouts not really coming to South Carolina to watch nobody play. I'm gonna be honest, but so I take pride in that.
This question is for Dariq. Eric Sparopoulos, Brooklyn Nets. You guys matched up with Jalen in Kansas in the season. You weren't able to play, but Jalen had a big night, scoring 25. What was it like, seeing him in that performance and then now being on the same team?
That was my first time, like actually, seeing him play in person. And after that night, we all we all pretty much left the building pretty much knowing what he was capable of. We talked about it after the game. We knew the reason we lost that game. And it was big credit to him, for him doing what he had to do that night. So we all pretty much left that game knowing, who he was and what he was capable of.
I was watching that game, Dariq.
He had a big game. He had a huge game.
Any other questions?
For Sean, with Dariq, do you feel like because of the injury and maybe he didn't have the best freshman season because of it, that maybe you got a player that ordinarily wouldn't have been there where you picked?
Yeah, I would say the same thing about all three of them. We're thrilled to have all three. I think they've said it too. It doesn't really matter where you get picked, right? A number is a number. It's what do you do now, as Jacques commented on before. So, yeah, I can only imagine, like, had he been at full strength, he would have gone a lot higher and so forth. But, it gives us, the conviction when we're drafting a guy like that to know, hey, we've been through this process before. We've had a young man through here, Karis LeVert, like we mentioned, and he's been through similar foot injuries. We're very comfortable with the person, the chip on his shoulder, and the performance team and the coaching staff here to get him back to where he needs to get to. I have no doubt about that.
Sean, just to follow up, last night, or I guess it was earlier this morning, maybe, you were talking about you thought you weren't ready to say, okay, we're a championship team, but we think we can become a contender earlier than a lot of people expected. I'm curious, is that because of the way you see the roster developing and some of the guys that are currently on the roster developing, or is that because, for lack of a better term, you kept your powder dry and you have a lot of assets left if you want to make moves in the future?
Brian, I think you answered it for me there with all those. I think it's a combination of all of the above. We've never wanted to limit the guys we have on our roster. I've never said he can only do this or this is what they do. And you heard Jacques say, we're not going to define roles just yet, right? These guys are versatile young men. And then, you've got the existing guys in our team. I mean, there's a runway and a pathway where we see how we can build something special here. That's ultimately been the goal for this entire group, since the day we all got here. So, no secret, we have, our draft assets way out into the future, and whenever we use them, whether we draft young players or whether we trade them, who knows? But, we'll be systematic in our approach. And the good thing is we get to see these young men and the men that are out on the court now continue to develop and get us there.
To follow up on what I just asked you, do you envision with Dariq a redshirt type year, or do you expect him to be okay to be able to play next season?
Look, I think we'll take it slow and be very systematic with how we bring him back. As I said, he's not yet 19, so let's be very measured and in the process. I have utmost faith in, for sure, our doctors. We've mentioned Dr. O'Malley, and he'll be guiding this, and the performance team. The performance team has done this before. They have put a very similar injury back on the court, and I think that's what we'll do. There's absolutely no rush, to do this, but we'll work hand in hand with Dariq, and he'll be the one guiding it as well. He'll play a role in that.
This one's for Sean as well. The roster obviously is in a different place than it was this time last year. And in the draft, you end up with 3 players, different skill sets, pretty different positions. Does the draft philosophy change depending on where the roster's at? Or does the best player available philosophy that you talked about last night continue sort of no matter what the team needs are, no matter how close to contention the team may be?
I think our group is a believer in best available. That's the way it should be. Let these young men go out there and compete. I don't necessarily want a team full of point guards or a team full of centers, but at the same time, we're thrilled to have these guys and the versatility that they bring, and let's just see these roles will be defined as their careers develop and go forward.
No other questions? We will pause and take some photos here. If you can just stand up and move these tables out of the way.